Hello, thanks for joining us for the Spring 2015 Radio Ratings. I'm Alicia Olson-Keating, a Senior Director on the Bell Media Research Team.
And I'm Mike Mohammed, a manager with the team. Alicia and I will walk you through the Spring PPM results. But first, we've got something different planned for this session together.
So Bell Media has been out for the past several weeks seeing our agency partners and clients with an ROI story that focuses on brand consideration and supports the important role established media has in stimulating brand affinity, generating passion and excitement, which ultimately contributes to long-term sales. But how is your brand going to make it on the podium for purchase consideration? So there are some really compelling stories that emerged in our ROI research around the topic of emotional connectivity in driving positive sentiment for brands. So we're seeing how positive sentiment builds awareness and drives consideration. Biggest takeaway for us from the research we are seeing is that making it to the top 3 takes time and a sustainable brand strategy.
Emotional connectivity is essential for an advertising plan. This will be the theme of our time together today. We all have connections in life. We express sentiment in our everyday communication, from the use of emoticons to a simple smile. A powerful advertising experience is able to appeal to consumer senses through the use of visual stimulation, audio, and storytelling. Over time, brands will develop a personality and establish perceptions. So how long does it take to build a positive brand sentiment? Or conversely, how long does it take to diminish brand perception and value in the eyes of a consumer? Established media, including television, radio, and out-of-home, have been building brands for years as they continue to play a pivotal role in fueling long-term brand health and driving sales. The impact of reaching mass consumers and targeting them with a powerful advertising experience contributes to all layers within the important purchase cycles throughout the varying life stages.
Let's have a look at a highly targeted consumer, and we'll name her Jen. As Jen graduates from her studies, she enters the workforce and starts earning an income of her own. She has officially become a targeted consumer with discretionary income to spend. She spends some time dating and eventually finds a partner, gets married, and becomes part of a dual-income household. So there's a likelihood of joint bank accounts, a first home, the need for home decor and furnishings, and perhaps even a trip. As Jen and her partner settle into their lifestyle together, there's a high probability that she will want to start a family. The entrance of a child into the household starts to impact lifestyle choices, products used, and decisions made. There are new product categories that open up, and these categories expand as the family grows and develops. How then is Jen being impacted by media messaging yesterday, today, and tomorrow? When Jen was in her early 20s, there were many different automotive car brands and nameplates being advertised and driving by, but Jen had her eyes on an inexpensive and fun scooter that she could both afford and keep at her apartment. What Jen might not have been consciously aware of is that during her 20s, she was being exposed to the various ad messaging within the marketplace throughout that life stage. Constant exposure through media advertising that played on sight, sound, and storytelling was creating perception and brand preference in her subconscious mind. By the time Jen hit her 30s and the family was growing, there was a need to purchase a vehicle that fit with her new life stage. Basically, Jen's family needed a minivan. Research shows that Jen will have likely hit the active purchase phase with her top 3 nameplates already in mind. Daily exposure over several platforms within a period of time will have given Jen several opportunities to be targeted with an appealing message. And she will have become very conscious now about some of the unconscious exposure that had been happening in and around her environment. Advertising that can engage Jen outdoors, at work, and at home can create an emotional connection that resonates with her current life stage, including the lead-in to where she is currently at. The brands that focus on the whole path to purchase and use mass emotional driving media in their plan will have a better chance of developing long-term brand health that results in long-term sales.
So how can advertisers connect with consumers? Let's take a look at these key advertising mediums, and we'll demonstrate how they become emotional drivers to your products and services. Let's start with television. Still very much proven to be the megaphone of media, TV has evolved very well in the new mediascape.
We have seen an evolution of TV genres over the last several years. While reality TV has seen long-term success in original ideas, i.e. like an Amazing Race and Survivor show, new Canadian-based reality programs have also grown in this space. MasterChef Canada and Big Brother Canada are good examples. The fantasy genre has also expanded dramatically, not only across specialty networks, but with conventional programming, such as superhero-based shows. Example of this would include like Marvel's programming Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and superheroes, like what we see on The Flash. Different TV genres appeal to different demographics. So Mike, did you know that TV audiences are dying?
So I've heard.
So how many of us have heard this comment in the past year? I wonder if this slide might help to dispel this myth. The season 1 finale of Grey's Anatomy in 2005 had a live audience of 1.5 million viewers. The season 1 finale of newcomer show, How to Get Away with Murder, with fan favorite Olson-Keating, delivered 1.9 million viewers, a significant increase over Grey's. People are actually viewing more television because they have access to technology that extends the viewing experience. Reality TV has added a new dimension to show content and created advertising opportunities within the show. The Amazing Race Canada reaches on average over 2 million adult 25 to 54 viewers per episode, and the majority of viewers are watching the show live. This is engaged viewing, where consumers are following their favorite teams who are competing their way across the country. The Amazing Race Canada is a very healthy brand, and research shows that advertising partners integrated within the show benefit from an exchange of this positive emotional currency. Some key highlights from a recent study showed a travel partner had a 49% improvement in their brand perception. Nearly 3/4 of their target consumer recalled the integration, and 89% felt the integration was an excellent or very good brand fit.
Numerous research permits us to do deeper dives on content preference by market and demographic. We see that the younger age demos are more loyal to different program genres than older age demos. Millennials in the West Coast, they love their comedies. This is true for both males and females. Whereas in Toronto, millennials are more loyal to fantasy and reality TV shows. Comedy is driving the adult 35-54 demo across the markets. Seniors or adults 55 plus aren't just watching the news, they have a variance of program types that they are loyal to across Canada.
Television specials continue to drive engaged viewing while providing advertisers with an opportunity for product positioning within a more targeted audience. People get really chuffed up about specials. This is appointment viewing. Specials in 2014 dominated the Canadian market with massive audiences for the World Cup, Super Bowl, and the Grammys. While specials pull in audiences from all age groups and both genders, different demos connect more easily with certain types of specials. It's no surprise that sports, for example, resonate a stronger connection with more males watching. But even so, different sports connect with different ages. Soccer viewing on conventional networks is typically younger than golf. At the other end of the spectrum, females have a stronger connection with movie and TV award shows.
Now, similar to other established media, out-of-home advertising can have a strong emotional impact on consumers. It too has evolved in the new media landscape, offering unique and dynamic content integrations on exciting platforms and markets across the country. These platforms engage consumers at different times and locations throughout the day. For example, digital boards along key intersections on highways reach consumers during their morning and afternoon commutes. Horizontal and vertical posters speak to consumers as they navigate the city's core. Street-level ads, such as transit shelters, catch the eyes of shoppers just before they make their purchase decisions. Out-of-home's ability to complement radio advertising is particularly strong, as both media have their peak consumption periods during commuting hours. Advertising in out-of-home can be timely and dynamic. Many of the Astral out-of-home campaigns have focused on eliciting an emotional response in consumers. A countdown until the start of the baseball season has Toronto residents eagerly anticipating the first time they can watch the game from the stands. A combined radio and out-of-home initiative by Berks, they tugged on the heartstrings by allowing couples to profess their love on digital boards and on air. The same boards even alerted motorists when the live proposal was to be made, so that they could tune to the station for this momentous occasion. Bell also captured the excitement of the NHL playoffs with images tied to the results of Canadiens' games. They showed crossed fingers on game days and celebratory raised arms as soon as the team won. Bell Direct tied their policy of forgiving their clients' first accident by allowing people to send holiday forgiveness messages via the campaign website directly to the digital boards. Digital platforms provide the opportunity to extend and enhance product messaging. Digital also offers a different engaged experience in varying locations and on a multitude of devices. With the growing accessibility of smartphones and tablets, consumers are always connected wherever they are, on transit, in the mall, or at the park. We can now reach them as they watch the 6 p.m. news or catch up on that last episode of their favorite TV show. One key benefit of this medium is the opportunity to get an immediate response from these on-the-go consumers. When they view an ad which piques their interest, they can immediately click through to an advertiser's linked website. Social media is also a great tool to open a conversation between your brand and the consumer. It not only gives your target market a voice, but a sense of satisfaction that they're being heard by someone. It builds that brand affinity and creates brand ambassadors. So from breaking news to fashion trends to sharing a laugh, social media is able to connect in real time with consumers.
Radio, best known for its ability to connect people. It is a very personal media that reminds consumers of a need and is able to inspire a reaction. Radio's greatest strength lies in its ease of access. Consumers connect with radio while driving in the car, at work, at the gym, and retail locations. Listeners have personal connections with hosts and tune in for immediate information on weather, news, and sports. So here's a look at what the radio format landscape looks like in English Canada. We see how listeners of different ages gravitate or have that close connection to their chosen radio formats. For example, the AC, or adult contemporary radio format, attracts primarily an older female audience, whereas younger female demos are more engaged with top 40 CHR and hot AC formats. Young males, they tune to rock and sports, and older males, they also tune into the news talk, classic rock, and classic hits format. Now we see the top radio formats based on time spent listening by key demographic groups. Just as we saw in TV preferences can vary by market. Look at how hot AC and AC top the Edmonton and Toronto markets with young females. But they sure do love their country music in both Vancouver and Calgary. We then see quite a variety of preferred formats with the 35 to 54 demo. And in the older 55 plus demo, news talk is the top choice when it comes to time spent listening. Now let's take a look at those spring market ratings. But before we dive in, let's quickly address some recent measurement issues regarding Voltaire. Numeris issued a statement to members just prior to the spring survey release, discussing the potential impact Voltaire might have on some station ratings. Voltaire is a unit basically that uses technology to purify a code, meaning it removes noise, ensuring all exposure is captured. Currently, there are 600 units being used in the US. Now in Canada, there were 11 units in place for the spring survey, and they were being tested by various broadcasters. We are seeing major variances for some stations in the PPM markets. However, in an agreement made by all broadcast companies, the units will be turned off for the next 60 days so that Numeris can conduct a full test on the technology. When looking at the spring 2015 PPM results, it is really important to keep this situation in mind. Mike, would you like to start?
Absolutely. We'll start with the Vancouver market. But first, for those of you familiar with our radio ratings recap, please note that we've provided a link in the description section of this YouTube video where you can click through to download the leave behind version of the presentation. Radio reaches 94% of the Vancouver population. These listeners also spend an average of about 9.4 hours per week with radio. There are 19 radio stations reported in the Vancouver marketplace. Just a quick reminder that these charts show what the core tuning of a station is. It doesn't mean that a station who sits in a female quadrant does not also reach males. A couple quick station rebrands to note in Vancouver this spring. CFBT FM changed from The Beat to 945 Virgin Radio, and CFun FM is now CKKS FM. and they rebranded from Sonic 104.9 to Kiss Radio. Now here's a look at the top stations and average weekly reach for this spring survey in Vancouver. We've used the Monday to Sunday 5A to 2A time block, as well as the key buying demo of Adults 1854. So we see that QMFM is in first place. They're followed by Z, and 945 Virgin Radio takes third spot. Now here are the top 5 stations in average minute audience, which is expressed as AMA. So in Vancouver, QMFM is in first place, Z953 comes in second place, and Rock 101 takes third. CFOX and 945 Virgin Radio round out our top 5 stations. Now let's take a look at the breakfast daypart AMA performance. We've used the standard morning time block of Monday to Friday, 6A to 10A for an apples-to-apples comparison. So in first place, we have Willie in the Morning on Rock 101. Taking second spot is the Nat and Drew Show on QMFM. And in third is the Jeff O'Neill Show on CFOX. Alicia?
Well, thanks, Mike. Let's review the Calgary ratings for spring. Radio reaches 95% of the 1.3 million people in Calgary, and listeners spend an average of 9.4 hours per week with radio. So there are 18 radio stations reported and uncoded in the Calgary market. There's a void in the mature female demographic in Calgary, with most female skewing stations attracting primarily younger listeners. Here's the weekly reach ranking for adults 18 to 54. Virgin Radio takes the top spot once again, and they're followed by XL 103 and AMP Radio. Here are the top stations for AMA. XL 103 takes the lead this spring, and then comes Country 105, Virgin Radio, X92.9, and Q107. Here are the breakfast daypart rankings for the adult 18 to 54 demo. Dawn and Joanne on XL are in first place. And then the Odd Squad on Country 105 is in second place. And third is Mark, Danae, and Fuzzy on Virgin Radio. Mike will now walk you through the Edmonton market results.
Thanks, AOK. Here we go. Radio reaches 95% of the Edmonton population. These listeners spend an average of 10.1 hours per week with radio. There are 19 radio stations reported in the Edmonton marketplace. So apart from CFCW, which is about 63% female, there are no stations in that older female quadrant in Edmonton. Conversely, we see a lot of activity with 8 stations in that younger male quadrant. Here's a look at the top 5 stations in the market by reach. Now Radio is in first place, The Bounce takes second spot, and Capital FM takes third place. And here's a look at the AMA ranking. Now Radio stays in top spot with an AMA of 7,600. The Bear is in second place, while Sonic comes in third. For the breakfast daypart with adults 1854, Now Radio's Crash and Mars are in first place. They are followed by the Bear's Paul Brown Show, and K97's Terry Evans in the Morning takes third spot. Alicia?
Thanks, Mike. Now let's move on to Toronto. Radio reaches 95% of the Toronto population. Listeners spend an average of 8.8 hours per week with radio. So there are 25 radio stations reported in the Toronto CMA. We notice that there are less stations in the younger male quadrant this spring. This is the adult 18 to 54 average weekly reach ranking. Virgin Radio takes the top spot. They are followed by CHFI, Chum FM, Boom 97.3, and Kiss 92.5. Now for a look at the AMA ranking. Chum FM is in first place, CHFI is in second, and Boom 97.3 takes third place. Here's the breakfast daypart rankings for adults 18 to 54. Roger, Darren, and Marilyn retains the top spot. Aaron and Mike on CHFI are in second place, and Stu Jeffries on Boom moves up to third. Wow. Okay, so that was a lot of information to take in. And with that, this concludes the market ratings from the spring 2015 release.
Thank you for connecting with us today to walk through the relevance of consumers' emotional response with established media and the latest ratings results. We hope you see the value in exploring the emotional impact, specifically our emotional driving media, radio, TV, digital, and out of home, what they bring to your advertising.
Oh, and spread the word.
Thank you. See you again next time.